If you were able to make a game, what kind of game would you make? If you give me a list of your favorite titles, I could probably answer that question. For example, if you are a fan of Doom, chances are you like fast-paced FPS with visceral combat where player movement plays a huge role. If you are a fan of ARPGs, you like killing waves of enemies with a character you customized and geared up via random loot system that is usually present in these games. Naturally, it is also possible to enjoy two game genres that are as different from each other as they can possibly be. One person enjoys Animal Crossing one evening and dives into Metal Gear the next. And some games can blend two genres together. They are usually called genre bash games. A famous example of it is the Persona series. It blends high school simulation where a player interacts with story characters, attends classes and other activities, with turn-based RPG combat where your character can level up and acquire new abilities. And that's what I've decided to do. Even though I'm not quite into a number of video game genres, there are still a lot that I enjoy. I wanted to take certain elements of games that I like and develop my own around them. Before I show you the game that I'm making, I would like to quickly explain why I chose to blend the following two genres. First one is Strand type. 2 years ago I played Death Stranding for the first time. Despite the game's success, it received a mixed reception from its players. Some people found it dull and boring, while others really enjoyed the slow and mostly tranquil experience. It definitely has its audience. For the most part, I personally enjoy Death Stranding. It has its ups and downs, and it offers a very unique experience that you can't find in other games. If you ask me, I'm of the opinion that the appeal of this kind of game is the preparation for the delivery you're about to undergo. There is a certain enjoyment of traversing a really long path or road with an idea of reward at the end. Second genre is Souls-like. If you are familiar with From Software games like Dark Souls or Elden Ring, you already know what I'm talking about. Essentially, the core element of a Souls-like is its combat. It features high commitment attacks where timing and spacing are crucial. The combat is also deliberately paced, with a strong emphasis on learning enemy patterns and finding the right moments to strike or evade. The high level of commitment to each action means that mistakes are often punished, but it also makes success deeply rewarding. So now that you know what genres I decided to mix, let me show you what I've been working on. This is Soulstrand, the game that I've been working on since around October. Title is still in the works. This thing started as a level design assignment as a part of my university course. But the project kept evolving way past the original assignment as I was getting happier and happier with the pace I learned Unreal with. The decision to go with Unreal was quite obvious for me after I tried working on it after making games in Unity. I found UE5 to be really nice to work in and learn. It is a really powerful engine that has everything you need in it by default. You do not need to dig through third-party plugins in order to make things work. The visual scripting is really nice for me personally, since I never liked writing code for my previous projects, and it allows me to comprehend programming better with good debugging tools. I also want to mention that the user interface here is very nice on the eye, and it does not make me feel like I'm working on Windows 95. When it comes to the game, the idea that even though you still make deliveries from one point to another, there are going to be things to do in between. I want the player to engage in combat with various enemies and explore the world. Think of it as a risk and a reward. You could just make deliveries from A to B, or you could take your time and collect more valuables on your travels for a larger sum at the end. Let's talk about this. The gliding. This originally wasn't on my design pillars list, simply because I wanted to replicate Death Stranding's grounded traversal. But due to playtesting results and feedback, it became very clear that I can't compete with Death Stranding's walking simulation mechanics like tripping over, weight balancing, ledge angle detection, and so on. After I implemented the first basic gliding mechanic, traversal instantly became more fun. I also added these wind torrents that propel you upward if you jump inside of them. From that high up, you can observe the world around you and pick whatever interests you and glide your way there. Let's now talk about enemies in combat. Here is why I feel like Souls-like combat is a great addition to the Strand-type basis. No matter how you spin it, Death Stranding is a really easy game, and I don't think it's a good thing. I figured that Souls-like will tip the balance towards rewarding gameplay that is often based on player skill, positioning, and familiarity with its combat. The player character has access to a two-handed hammer as her signature weapon. It has light attacks and heavy attacks just like you would expect in a Souls-like. Light attacks are fast, but they don't break enemy posture very well. Heavy attacks on the other hand take longer to execute, but they do devastating damage and break enemy stance more easily. You can also dodge in any direction to avoid the enemy attacks. There are also jump attacks, the damage of which will be changed based on how long you spend in the air. but the combat overall is still in refinement. Blocking or parrying could be added to allow more depth as well as more enemy types. So far I have 5 you can encounter. The basic and brittle Undead Grunt, whose attacks pose little threat and is easy to defeat. His big brother Undead Soldier is there to poke you with its spear as well as block your attacks. This freaky looking guy is a brute. His stance is not that easy to break, and he also packs a big punch. The 2 ranged enemies so far are an archer and a wizard. They were especially fun to develop. The archer is keeping her distance and tries to chip you down with her arrows, shocking. Her arrows come out way faster than a typical Souls-like. They are not that hard to dodge, but if you can hear an arrow on the fly, you can break it. It's pretty hard and I can't personally do it reliably. The wizard, on the other hand, is all about area denial. She will put a firestorm in a highlighted area on the player's location after a short casting time. I plan to add more enemies into the game, but for now these basic archetypes will do just fine. There are many more things to add to the game. Like the campfire or camping kit, you can put down and rest and cook food that will serve as buff to the player. And because I'm a fan of action RPGs, I could also add another weapon for the player later on, like I've been thinking dual blades or a bow. I am still early in development and I thought quite a lot about if I should show it here on YouTube to you guys. I thought if I am to show it, then I better commit to the development and set up my priorities. I work on the game solo, but I have 2 programmer friends who help me with code sometimes, and an artist who lends his hand every now and then, and I'm grateful for their help. I do hope you enjoyed my little devlog announcement. If you like this format, I will keep updating you on the development of Soulstrand. You can also follow me on Twitch. I stream there 2 to 3 times a week and I talk to chat while programming, animating or designing a level. Thank you for watching and see you next time.